Hi guys, welcome to my new video. I titled it Mermaid Pond because it's a mermaid in a pond. Um, this one took me a while to complete because life got busy. I ended up moving to a new house, which I entirely enjoy. I also was busy with health concerns and other things like that. So there's a small life update, a small window into what is going on in my life. If you can hear anything in the background, I do live now next to a high school, and I don't know what they're doing right now, but they are definitely using the intercom on the football field. So if you do hear something in the background, that's most likely what it is. Or if you hear any construction, I've got another school being built right next to our home as well. Um, so please excuse all those random noises. Um, and I'm sorry for saying I'm trying to get used to voiceovers. I really don't like these. So I did this during Mermaid. I wanted to do at least one piece in which I did a mermaid. So here it is. I wanted a color palette that was really muted, kind of dark, kind of giving you the sense that it's dark and it's a deep forest and there's fairy lights, around it to give you light to kind of see the mermaid. Um, I don't think I did a very good job with making sure it was super dark and, you know, the mermaid was barely popping out. I'm trying to get better at that, trying to learn new wash techniques, um, which you'll see in my next video, um, that I do a wash over the entire piece. It does cause a little bit of problems, but nothing that I didn't feel comfortable handling. Excuse me. I've also been trying to get over a cold. I am not sick anymore, but I do have a lingering cough. So please bear with me, as if I do need to cough here, it tends to happen, me coughing tends to happen more the longer I speak. So there's that. And I apologize for saying so much. So I started out with the sketch. I transferred the sketch from a light pad to this mossery sketchbook, watercolor sketchbooks, and I love the paper. It's great paper. It held up really well. It did buckle a little. I expect that when I do watercolor, but it held the paints and the water really well. I did not worry about anything actually. This water or this paper did not peel up when I scrubbed. I didn't scrub very much on this painting though, so I don't know how much scrubbing you can do before it starts peeling, but from what I experienced, it did not start peeling. It held the water really well. It held the colored pencils on top amazingly. Yeah, I was very impressed with this sketchbook, which is good because it does come from out of country. If you are interested in looking into those, it does take a while to arrive, and the shipping cost is really high because it is foreign. Yeah, so I started out with doing lighter colors first and keeping the washes really light so I could darken it as I went. I really did like the color of the water, but then after coming back later, I was like, oh, it's not dark enough. And, you know, same with everything else. I also wanted to create depth between the background and the foreground, and that's why I did the colors for the background trees a more dark purpley blue color to give you kind of a sense of like depth in the forest. I spent a lot of time trying to get the orbs to look like fairy lights, like brighter in the center and giving off a yellow glow. I also tried to show reflection in the piece using the water and her hair, and I just thought this was a fun piece. It just takes me a while to put out videos, mainly because I don't like voiceovers. I don't like hearing my own voice, and so I'm just gonna say bear with me as I do this. I'm really excited about the next few videos coming up. They are they're pieces based on my fairy fall prompt. I'm missing fall right now. I know it's the middle, like it's the end of July and we're almost in August, but I am ready for fall. Not Halloween, just like fall and the like cooling off and, you know, the leaves changing colors. And so with that in mind, I wanted to kind of start working on a portfolio for myself in which I had like a series of paintings that I could show. And I chose the prompt of fall because I really like the fall and I really like fall colors. And so I put a Pinterest board together and for that, and with palettes and with fairies and, you know, landscaping that I kind of want to do. And I got that prompt together and I got it ready for myself to start painting. And what's funny is I was able to finish, you know, after being sick and stuff, I was able to finish my first painting within less than like a couple weeks. And I'm getting ready to start the next sketch and the next piece and the next painting, and I'm really excited about it, which is good because you want to be excited about the art you're making, otherwise it's going to take forever to do. I really do like making art. It's the posting and the editing that I am not as excited about. And that's okay. That's not my strong suit. I realize that. That's not something I like to spend my time on. But that's okay. I'm learning, and I think the hardest part is that I'm learning and I'm trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like when editing videos, and when it comes to figuring out how to improve those videos as well. I've also had to switch from using one video editing software to another, and so I went from knowing more about the last one to not really knowing much about this one. So again, I'll say bear with me because I got back into the other one, and we'll see. We'll see how everything goes. We'll see how everything works out. Bear with me. So here I'm just building on colors to build shadows to make it look more like water in my brain. I should have probably used more references. I will say I've been enjoying myself more and I've been making more art because I have been enjoying myself more, and I do use references, but I do sketch from my own imagination now, and I think that's helped me a lot because then there's less pressure on it being absolutely perfect and absolutely right and absolutely like absolutely what I think other people want, and I've really enjoyed myself not worrying about having the perfect reference photo or having the perfect sketch, and maybe leaving some things for when I am painting to kind of give me a bit of freedom to figure things out. I've had a lot of fun doing that. Here I'm doing a technique in watercolor that's a little bit subtractive, where you kind of put water around it and you pick up the paint a little bit using a clean brush. And you also get to see in this video how messy my desk is when I paint. I do like working with watercolors because to me I feel like there's less of a mess to clean up. You do have to let the palettes dry when you're done using them. You do have to like make sure that they don't spill after you put them away before they're dry. If they're dry, you don't need to worry about it as much. But I like watercolors because it's a lot easier for me to work at home on this scale. Sorry, I went on a completely different tangent. But I have, I've had fun. I'm enjoying myself. I'm using newer techniques. The picking up pigment is, and kind of fading it out. That's not a new technique for me, but I have other techniques that I've been working on and getting used to, like blooming and letting watercolor do what it's supposed to do instead of trying to force it to do what I want it to do. I do still force it, but it's a lot different. And yeah, I am enjoying this, and I did enjoy this painting. It's not my most favorite, but I liked the sketch, so I decided that I would paint it and things like that. But like I said, I'm really, really, really excited for these next few videos coming out. I don't know how much I'll actually talk in them, mainly because I don't know how long the videos are going to be. And when they're longer videos, it's a lot harder for me to speak in them because this is a long time for me to talk and not know what to talk about. I have used more of a limited palette for the next videos. I want to show more of the process, and I won't ever, I don't think I'm ever gonna show the process of me sketching the piece. I might show pieces of me uploading the sketches into Procreate and kind of fixing up the sketches there to kind of have it more of what I had in mind, because sometimes I'll sketch, not really like the sketch something else, and then combine sketches. And I like not having the pressure of having everything perfect, and so I will never record the sketching process because I want to make sure I don't have pressure on myself when I do that, because otherwise I start hating sketching and I start not wanting to do it and not really being inspired enough to do it. So here I had put in a bunch of shapes, and I realized that the green was a little bit too bright for me, and so I also didn't like how defined some of the pieces of the bushes were, so I went in and kind of blew it back and started darkening some of the things. You'll see me come in with a paper towel every once in a while, and that helps kind of pick up pigment so it's not as strong when I put it down. I also decided to kick back some of the colors with a darker, like that blue from the water, so it's not as a vibrant brown on those trees. And I feel like it did help a lot, you know, bring down the colors. And like I said, the background trees, I wanted to make sure it looked like a dark background. And so I had to pull out other palettes to find the right color, and then I just went in trying to make it look like a bunch of foliage back there, which I think I did a really good job. I think it turned out really well. I wanted to make sure that the focal point was the mermaid, so I made a lot of the foliage kind of abstract, not really like you see every single individual leaf. And obviously in the foreground you see more foliage and, you know, the lines on the trees, but it's to give the piece a little bit more depth, and I thought it looked nice. What else should I talk about? So I've been trying to be more consistent with posting. I know I had promised to post this video last week, but I did not want to do this voiceover, so instead I posted the Anthony Bridgerton, and I thought that was okay. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get over talking to myself in a room while I watch myself do this art piece. It's gonna take some time, so this is the last time I'm gonna say it. I apologize. Please bear with me as I learn to get over my things for the voiceovers. I will try and be better next time and talk more about the tools that I used and why I chose the colors I chose, and more about the process. Here again, I'm just putting in more of bushes. And to keep the paints wet, I do have a spray bottle. That's what you see on the far left coming at you, is a spray bottle to keep the paints wet or to re-wet paints if I've missed out. This sketchbook is really kind of small. It's probably like, I want to say like 5x4, like the height is like 5 or 6 inches by like the width is 4 inches. And so I had to use really small brushes when painting the mermaid, and it is really hard to work really small with watercolors. That was something I learned, not just with this piece, but the next piece you'll see that like I struggled mainly because of how small the piece is and how tiny I had to work. But this next piece turned out okay. It's not my favorite again. I'm working on it. I'm getting back into the groove of doing things more regularly. I do love the hair on the mermaid in this one. I thought it turned out amazing. I decided to give her yellow eyes to be more ominous and mysterious and kind of like, oh, do I want to go in there or do I kind of not want to? And then, as usual, I used colored pencils to try and give more depth and detail. I am gonna try something new. So the next piece that you're gonna see sometime next month, most likely, I use colored pencils again for aligning and things like that. I do want to start trying out lining with inks because I think they'll give me more detail that I want for what I'm doing, especially with fairies because they are small, or depending on what positions I put them in, I want to make sure that they have a crisp line art so that I can more properly show what I'm trying to do. And so after this next video that will be coming up, you're going to be seeing me experiment with some inks for line art. It's a good thing I already have the supplies, you know. Every artist has some supplies out there, more than what they actually use. And again, I go in with colored pencil. I might still go in with colored pencil on the backgrounds to give it more depth. This is to add more shadows and lines where I don't feel like the watercolor was able to give. I feel like the colored pencils really made the foliage pop and made it look like it was actually foliage instead of just a bunch of blobs. And I really like that, but I have a hard time when it comes to the characters because I don't feel like it gives it a crisp enough line because there's texture when working with colored pencils. So again, that's why I'm gonna start using inks for the line art for the pieces from the next video on. After the next video, I use colored pencils on the next one, but that's where I was like, oh, I really gotta experiment now. And I have enjoyed talking on this one a lot more, so hopefully that means I'm getting a little bit better with my voiceovers. I also had crisp lines on this. Look at that. And that's washi tape that I'm pulling off. I tend to put that underneath my masking tape because the masking tape sometimes rips up the paper. I don't like that. I also messed up on the date. And here we are, the final piece. I really enjoyed it. And please like and subscribe.